Oh,
It just did now, I think. Establishment of office to address unidentified aerial phenomena. And you see here, establishment no later than 180 days after the date of this enactment of this act. The Secretary of Defense, in coordination with the Director of National Intelligence, shall establish an office within the office of the Secretary of Defense to carry out on a department-wide basis, comma, the missions currently performed by the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force as the date of this enactment. Duties. The duties of this office established under the subsection.
Are we saying that this is replacing the task force?
Yeah, this is a permanent
Yeah,
body.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
what
yeah.
I've been telling people. We've been trying to work behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
And
Right?
it was hinted at, wasn't it? Because they said whatever comes afterwards
Yeah.
when the report came out. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was expecting that was what they got.
Okay, so the duties shall include developing procedures to synchronize and standardize the collection, reporting, and analysis of incidents regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, developing processes and procedures to ensure that such incidents from each military department are reported and incorporated into a centralized repository, which we're going to talk about today. Establishing procedures that require the timely and consistent reporting of such incidents, evaluating links between unidentified aerial phenomena and adversarial foreign governments, make sure they don't leap from ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
They don't have it, and other foreign governments or non-state actors, evaluating the threat that such incidents present to the United States, coordinating with other departments and agencies of the federal government as appropriate, we can't talk about that today, coordinating with allies and partners of the United States as appropriate to better assess the nature and extent of unidentified aerial phenomena.
important.
Dude, that's huge, important.
Get other countries going.
And then, right.
I think there's something about the wording.
Annual report requirement, no later than December 2022, December 31st, and annually thereafter until December 31st, 2026, the Secretary of Defense shall submit to the appropriate congressional committees a report on the unidentified aerial phenomena. Elements. Each report under the paragraph will include an analysis of data and intelligence received through reports of unidentified aerial phenomena, an analysis of the data relating to unidentified aerial phenomena collected by geospatial intelligence, signals intelligence, human intelligence, measurements intelligence, the number of reported incidents of unidentified aerial phenomena over restricted airspace in the United States, an analysis of such incidents identified under subparagraph C. Now we go to this one, I think. Yeah. This is the best one here, in my opinion. Identification of potential aerospace or other threats posed by unidentified aerial phenomenon to the national security of the United States, an assessment of any activity regarding unidentified aerial phenomena that can be attributed to one or more adversarial foreign governments, identification of any incidents or patterns regarding unidentified aerial phenomena that indicate a potential adversarial foreign government may have achieved a breakthrough in aerospace capability, an update on the coordination by the United States with allies and partners on efforts to track, understand, and address unidentified aerial phenomena. That's a big deal.
Good word address.
Yeah, an update on any efforts underway on the ability to capture or exploit discovered unidentified aerial phenomena.
That's a really good one.
That's a really good one. How about this one? Ready?
Capture.
An assessment of any health-related effects for
Red dot.
individuals that have encountered unidentified aerial phenomena, biological effects, guys.
Red dot.
Right. Task force no later than the date on, the rest is just kind of, blah, 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 just, what the committee said you're going to report to.
12 pages in
Yeah. So,
capture.
yeah, did you hear some cat on the news once talk about some sort of captured material?
Well,
Anyways, there you go.
thank you for reading that.
Yeah.
But yeah, sounds really big news. So the key thing is we have to get other governments involved, more openness, and
Well, here's the problem. If they don't, they're going to get left behind. Before, if they weren't more open, they didn't really risk anything. Now they do. Now, if they
Yeah, they
don't
can't
get
afford
on
to be
board,
left behind.
you will be left behind.
And you will look foolish.
That's right.
If
By the
they're on
way,
the wrong side of history.
That's right. And you're not only going to look foolish, but you won't be able to have any part of the narrative.
Yeah.
Your narrative will be written for you by other parties. So
Because you were involved at the beginning.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely correct.
No. So what I would like to see from an ICER perspective and from your perspective, the American perspective, which is a major player, they've dominated the subject, they've owned the subject since the 40s. no doubt because of Roswell. But realistically speaking, we need to engage with scientists, academics, and UAP researchers. We all need to just like get rid of egos and sit around a big table and say, look, what can we all bring to the table for the benefit of this subject?
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more.
But that's what we're not doing yet.
So how do we do that?
We've got to get the media more on board. The media are a bit of my bugbear because they can
By the
create...
way, I love those British sayings. I wish we had those in America. We don't. I'm telling you, this is just so damn cool. My wife loves that.
Right. The key thing is we need... The UFO community is not powerful enough, not organised enough, doesn't have the money or resources to create the pressure to affect governments. The people that can do that are the mainstream media. Because if they really do a Watergate type scenario, we know that we've been lied to now, and really go after the truth, as they should have been doing for perhaps a long time. If we're kind, we'll say they were. If we're unkind, we'll say they were involved in the cover-up. If we're kind, we'll say they were deceived and they were a victim.
Right.
So we'll go with the latter because I want to work with the media.
Yeah.
So there's no point in attacking them. But realistically, they are the ones that can create the pressure on your legislative branch.
I don't disagree.
And they need to be saying, where is that footage?
But
Lue Elizondo has said it's there, so let's get it out
But
there.
they also need to have the protection of their audience, because let's face it, media is also a business. People don't want to talk about that, but they need eyeballs on set so they can sell advertisement space to pay their bills. That's how it works. So if they know there's an appetite for this information and they're not going to be ridiculed or be labeled, some sort of tabloid, because they have a reputation to uphold, they have journalistic integrity, right? They need to know that it's okay to report on this, that they're not going to get this kickback on social media.
That's happened for 70 years.
That's right. So no wonder they've been gun shy. I don't blame the media for being gun shy.
Absolutely not.
So the media needs to know that it's okay to report on this.
Yes, and that's where I think you can play a big part in that. Because I think you can suggest that more to the media than I can, because you're the leading guy in the world at the moment. No, in terms of disclosure, you are. No. You're the public face along with Chris Mallon. So you're the person that's the go-to for the media at the moment. But obviously there's people like Leslie Kane, etc., behind. But you're the main face of this disclosure at the moment. So it's on.
I'm not.
Well, I'm sorry. The book stops at you. So you can create the pressure because millions of people are watching you. That's why you've been followed around all the time. You have got the power at the moment, which sounds kind of crazy, but you have got a lot of media power.
Well, I think the private, if you remember from this morning, looking at that larger federal lab construct, the private sector, in this case, would be those UFO programs, those UFO organizations. I do think they add tremendous value. I do think that there's a place for them at the table.
Yep.
And I think having those voices heard, there are some plans right now underway to create, let's just say, advisory committees.
And that's what you should be doing.
For that.
And that's why I'm saying you need people on your advisory committees who are well proven, well respected, who know their stuff, who can just quote you the history of the world in ufology for the last 70 years. There's not many, but there are some, and they would be really useful because they save a lot of time. So somebody goes to say, right, all right, what's the point of looking? There's no decent research in the 1950s. Well, there you go. Go to the Patel Institute in 1955, which was the basis of Special Report number 14. The real data's in there. Still some good data there, but I understand what you're saying about the military perspective of more modern things now. Because if things are flying around in the US airspace with impunity around you, sensitive secret. I worked on 2 nuclear weapons storage areas.
So you get it.
So I get it. So that is a threat, and that's an immediate potential threat, even though it doesn't appear to be an overt threat.
Right.
And one of the things that we have to start talking about, and I've been watching you for a long time, is you're doing more of the talk now. You mentioned Roswell and whatever, but up until recently, you didn't really talk much about prior to 2004 because the focus was on the Nimitz and all the things afterwards. I understand that you're trying to do things in reverse, really. You want to start on the modern stuff and then you can probably work back, because there is some really good stuff from the past.
I don't disagree at all.
And obviously, when we're talking about metamaterials and things, the study of the alloys, etc., all of that stuff is kind of talked about, but it's not yet coming out. But there's been lots of scientific data recorded from those materials. That's not really getting the coverage yet from the media.
Sure.
Because that's a pretty much a game changer.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Once you get one report from an authorised medical lab, a prestigious lab saying, we cannot replicate this was created by technology way beyond us, the alloys, the composition is way beyond what we can do, and it was created in space because we don't have the environment to create it on Earth. That's getting close to as good as it's ever going to get.
Yeah, I don't disagree there's much value there. The two obstacles we see right now that I see, and this is just world according to Lue, so forgive me. The pride and ego piece is major. There are, the moment we start going back, and you mentioned the word Roswell or anything else, it is a hornet's nest.
Yes.
Nobody can agree on anything, and everybody thinks their narrative should be heard. And the problem is, if you have everybody's narrative heard at the same time, you have noise. You don't have
Definitive.
That's right. And so it becomes a distraction. And it very quickly devolves into, you get these personal attacks. That's not helpful. So what we need to do is incrementally have this conversation in a way as we bring everybody forward.
That's for the advisory committees,
Right.
is when you talk about the old stuff.
That's right. And that old stuff is important. History, you can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been.
And you can't edit history.
Right. And
Just
so
because you don't like it.
No, absolutely. And but it is definitely a process. I've always told people you can't eat an elephant all in one bite. So you have to take it in bite sizes, and you have to choose what part of the elephant you want to eat first. Right. And know that's going to depend whether or not you can continue on to the next part of the meal. And so, hopefully people are beginning to see right now there is some method to the madness. I don't expect people to agree with me. I don't expect people to jump along board. I don't expect, all I'm doing, and I've told people, if they can figure out a better way to do it, you're free to do it. You don't need me. If you can do it better than me, my God, do it.
You've done a good job so far.
I think, well, it's just this has been a collaborative and collective effort. I haven't done this alone.
No, of course not.
But I've done it with the help of the CUN, with ICER, to some degree MUFON, with the government, insiders, outsiders, foreign friends, allies, YouTube, social media. It has truly, truly been one of the most challenging, but one of the most beautiful choreographed concerts that one could ask for in this topic.
Just have to know who the good guys and the bad guys are.
You do. And unfortunately, that's something that I as a former special agent, like you, we don't tend to trust a whole lot of people, right? Because we see a lot of
people have agendas.
Right. We see the bad side of people most of the time, right? So in an area, in a room of people you don't trust, who do you talk to? No one, right? So you tend to do that. Well, we're at the point now where I think we have seen the people in the room, we've seen the
very
dynamics.
good people.
There are absolutely some very, very good people.
Genuine, live
those people we need in the boat.
Yes.
But the people who have agendas, the people who have been trying to hijack this narrative,
Or create their own agendas.
and by the way, create cottage industries and profiting off of those agendas, those are the people that should be locked into that room and should be thrown into the water. That is, for me, is repugnant, it is repulsive, and it is disgusting. And those people, I think...
If you can recognise that, then you do well.
Yeah, well, there's a few. I haven't recognized them, all of them.
I could probably have a good conversation
Yeah,
with you.
I think,
But not with cameras.
yeah, no, I think you probably would have either of those, right? No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think look, in that discussion we had today, that was, by the way, a fantastic question. When I put there, this is what we've accomplished in the last 3 years. I don't mean to insinuate by any means we hadn't done anything before those 3 years. There was a lot of groundwork done. But I cannot speak from an authoritative perspective on what I was not involved in. I can't, right?
Yeah.
So, I can give the accolades and give the credit to people, but I can't speak from an authoritative perspective and
Because
say,
you weren't there.
I wasn't there. It would not be fair for me.
No.
And at some point, I think when we get to a point where guys like me become useless, that's my measure of success. When I can completely disappear tomorrow and nobody notices.
And you actually say that you want to disappear.
I absolutely want to disappear.
You want your life back.
I am a creature of the shadows. Until December 2017, no one ever heard of me.
Yeah.
And I liked it that way. My wife liked it that way. My kids
Now you
liked it
can't
that way.
even walk. You're like a film
It's
star.
no, and you're that UFO guy. Well, I'm not that UFO guy. I'm Lue Elizondo. I happen to did that for a job, but that doesn't define me.
No.
I don't want it to define me. I define me, not a portfolio.
Absolutely.
And so that in there for me is my measure of success. When my being absent is completely, totally
You've
irrelevant.
done your job.
I've done my job.
I can go back to life.
Exactly. I can go back to living my life. And the sooner that happens, the better. But I also understand it can't be done prematurely because I don't want to lose this momentum that we continue to
Yeah,
gain.
we've got to keep the momentum going. And this is why I kind of fear that at the moment, after the DNI report, what's come out today, hopefully will re-trigger the media.
Dude, there's 3 paragraphs
Absolutely.
on nothing but sharing with our friends and allies.
Capture is just going to be the word that's lifted every time.
Right.
Because
Well,
why
but-
do you need to capture it?
But there's other portions in there too about information, analysis, data with our friends and allies.
But hopefully the media will pick up on it. And
Well, that's up to you and me to make sure
Yeah,
you do it.
yeah.
Right.
But
So when they
that's-
say, what does this NDAA mean? Because you are an expert, former, UK MOD or UK police or UK. What does this mean to you as an investigator? Say, well, it's quite clear what it means. It means that there's law in the United States government requiring them to work with us. And
Now-
if they don't, that's a problem.
if we are an international NGO, we're in it for the long haul. We're non-profit, non-political, and we're registered in Portugal, and we're there to take it to the highest levels of governance,
Great.
based on best evidence.
And-
how can I, with 30 years policing experience, look at the UFO subject in any other way?
Right.
Is it evidential?
Right, that's
Would
right.
it stand up in a
That's
court
right.
of law?
Exactly. And what will the jury say? And
Absolutely.
I think that type of argument to
We
organizations
need
like the
positioning.
United Nations, like NATO, right?
Yeah.
That resonates, and they're going to say, okay, what is your professional experience? What is your academic vitae? What makes you qualified to have this conversation? And that's when you say, because we have this person on board, we have this person on board, we have this person with experience.
Yeah.
That is very, very that's what
So
makes
you
it
see,
work.
so that's why you are an important guy, and you're an important guy for ICER at the moment because you can position us. If we want to do this on the same page, to the same goal, to get the real evidence out there, to establish no egos, we all sit around the table and value some of the best researchers, scientists in the world, and we all work together. That's what we should be doing because it's only one human race.
That's right.
We're not multiple races,
No,
we're
right.
the human race.
No, that's right. I
And
tell
we have to
people,
represent the human
Take
race.
a globe, take any map, remove the lines from it, and now I challenge you to
No
tell me exactly
boundaries,
where your
no
country
borders.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You won't be able to know where you won't know the exact place where your country ends and begins.
Well, we're moving into a new reality. We're on the brink of this new paradigm shift that these things are real. Now, 95% of the public have been lied to for 75 years, so for them it's a huge issue. And this is why we're developing awareness programs, because we keep saying to the press, well, you've got to ask that what if question. What if it's going to be confirmed in a year, 2 years? Are we just going to make no preparations and then we're going to hit a brick wall like COVID and the mental health issues because people are under lockdown that they've never experienced? It'd be a very similar effect for some people. Will be
Right.
psychologically affected
Sure.
by the decision, the admittance that this is real.
Psychological, sociological. You have theological, and you have philosophical.
Yeah.
All wrapped together in a single issue.
Yep.
And I
It
think
affects all of these things. and we need to be having serious discussions now. But we have to take it away from that it's an American, like you said in your presentation, you have to stop or try to stop one country taking the narrative.
Right.
Well, effectively for 75 years America has had the narrative.
Right.
We now have to broaden this now to the human race.
Absolutely.
And say, look, this is everywhere.
Right.
We now need all governments to start saying, you should all start setting up in every single country similar procedures to record so that we're getting all the data, and the more the data is studied, the more it will confirm that we're dealing with something that's way beyond us.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
I'll take you a fiver letter. But yeah, no, we have to, because now we're on this paradigm change, because everybody, absolutely everybody recognises that when that contact is acknowledged by the world's media and whatever, and you'll know when it happens because it'll be 24/7 on the media, like a terrorist incident. Right. That's when you know that disclosures happen, 24/7 coverage. At that point there, everyone will accept that contact will be the most profound moment in human history. So, to date. So, this is something unprecedented. So we now have to start looking at us as the human race.
Yep, agreed.
And that's what we're not doing. And we need to organise more.
Agreed.
We need to lose egos, and we just need to sit around the table and say, look, forget whose group's better than one another. That's why the UFO community is never organised, because we couldn't agree for the last 50 years, my group's better than your group, I don't like you. That's why we've no power.
How do we fix that?
By identifying the good guys and the bad guys. And you don't need to out the bad guys.
But what happens when the bad guys say they're the good guys?
Well, I think that demonstrably you'll be able to see who are the good guys, like the people in San Marino who've been doing this for 30 years,
right,
operating on very little money, but putting conferences together and bringing the top evidential people in from all around the world. They've done really good work, and there are many good people in this subject. But there are also people who would do it for financial motive. Those people you don't go near.
Yeah.
But you don't need to out them, you just need to be selective behind the scenes in identifying the right people. And, there are people who can help you in identifying the good guys and the bad guys. And I've met them all.
All right, well, we'll have a chat later on off camera.
Yeah, I think so.
So, when are you out of here?
Tomorrow, I'm not sure. Probably lunchtime, something like that.
Every morning we grab breakfast.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Well,
But